basement is pretty much Faraday cage.
Can we get the live stream to YouTube going so you're whenever you're ready?
Okay, where's power to laptop?
Well, I posted the address of where the live feed is on.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd back up. If yours is out, I'll do it.
It's I think it's http:// Coco Talk online.
I'm in the booth here, so.
But if you use that should give you a live stream of what's going on right now.
What's going to have more?
Here, have an onion.
Some of the trees I can get.
I'll talk to you later, bud. Bye-bye. Steve, what was the address of the live streaming?
live.cocotalk.by.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't see the screen at all, but that's
backwards.
No reflection on you.
It is what it is.
Okay.
Did we start the stream? Did Curtis start it?
He was over there. I don't know if he started it or not.
Yeah, we're live. He did start it. Okay, we're here. He already started it. I can't see your. This is the problem we have. Is the projections going to turn off one light?
So in another word, we'd be watching.
No.
Coco Windows.
What's it? Oh. Okay.
I'm going to see if I can't tweak the camera settings. Maybe this is
However, the guy was just talking to me.
exposure. Oh, there we go. I can lower the exposure. So.
But this is fun.
Oh yeah, that makes a difference. Okay. Manual exposure. Alright, that's as good as it's going to get, but at least we can see it a little better now. No. Can at least.
I think it's the start of something.
I think there's
But like what it used to, it runs on a PC or like in Notepad. You type in like a
Alright, that's
program,
good.
and
a whole lot
it
better
spits
than
out
most.
an ASM file. So you just get that into the assembly file. You just need to get into like a virtual disk of some sort, and we should probably turn so it's accessible to Coco and
No,
then
that's fine.
use that edit set, assemble it. So I mean, it just, I guess it's like a cross, it runs on a PC. So you could program my C opposed to regular C. Shortcuts and couple spots. It's easier to compile.
So we're already live, so whenever you want to go, John, you're good. You're live.
Okay.
Differences between it and regular. Like I use Pascal style colon equal, and it's just so that I know the difference between
Okay.
assignment versus logical operator.
Ready here to start, I guess. I'm John Strong of Strongware. And a little slow on starting. My mouse is missing in action. I don't know if I forgot it. When I did the demo yesterday at the Career Center for Evan Wright and his students, I usually do my talks very informal and give a lot of chance for the audience if they want to ask questions and feedback. It's actually going to be a little bit more less formal today than even some of the others because I didn't get my game ready. Life interferes, okay? When you have 3 months out of the year that you were sick, that you didn't get to work on things, it takes a while to catch things back up. And so that's my apology for not having a new game out here this year, a cartridge and such. Just to be noted, I am going to be supporting the Game Master card from, along with that, I will probably support, in some cases, some of the other sound solutions as they fit whatever game that I want to do, okay? So, not everybody likes a cartridge, so, there may be a possibility I'll do a cartridge version that has the Game Master. So, hey, you're guaranteed you can play it with the sound and do something that supports one of the others if you have that. It's kind of my plan and works.
John, the PS2 or USB you need? PS2 or USB mouse you need?
USB. Yeah. I have a wireless one, and it doesn't seem to be in my backpack. So I don't know if I forgot it when I did the demo, or it's in the hotel room, or where it's at. If you want to get it out to use it, so I got a touchpad. I'll use it. Just more used to using the mouse. And so what I did, and if you've been at the past CoCoFEST and stuff, you've all seen a version of this. If you come to my show, okay? It's my main go-to graphic development tool. It's something I wrote, I modify and change as I needed over the years. So it's been around for a while, okay? But as I develop something new, I say, hey, I need this, or oh, well, now I need sprites. I add sprites to it. The first game I really did the stuff with this with Gems 2. And with Gems 2, I could just use the blocks that I had for the tiles as the sprite. Some of the stuff I'm developing now, I definitely need a sprite tool in it. So I've got starts in my sprite tools. Recently, I just upgraded my development environment tools. And so, probably going to do a bunch of changes in my tools to support. The current tool I have can do cross-platform, so I may develop a cross-platform tool so that I can share it with people that use Mac and things like that. But that'll be a while in the future. But when you do this, you're always thinking of ideas and what to do, and many times you have more ideas than what you have time to do. At least me. If I don't have more ideas than what I have time to do, I think, okay, what's wrong with me? Is my temperature right? My blood pressure? So it happens. And also, being there, you work on cross-development stuff to help the games. Both John Linville and myself were both looking at the TI chips at the same time. John was able to come out and beat me to the punch, and congratulations, and did a great job at it. Okay? And in fact, you know, because he did it, hey, he's done the work, I'm going to use it, I'll buy the boards from him. Okay? And, you know, so we're competitors, but we're friendly competitors. You know? We're competitors because we both write games, and, you know, hey, we sell them, you know, so we compete for your money in a little bit. But other than that, we're good. I think we're good friends, pretty good. But, you know, the things I also do is I do 3D printing. So sometimes I've got some designs in the future. Sometime when I get a chance, I'm going to be making some joysticks. I've got some designs I've done. And paddles and things like that. And probably will write games to support that. So there's a lot of things that goes on when you do game development. Oh, we got one. Oh, I don't need it. But that's all right. Let's see what that's there. Thank you. Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So the primary thing about games is you got to remember it's entertainment. Okay? If it doesn't entertain you in some way, and people are entertained different ways. Some people like puzzles. To them, setting a crossword puzzle down and figuring it out there. Some like Sudoku, figuring numbers. But it's a form of entertainment. Entertainment is where you escape your real life for a moment. You know? You suspend belief if it's a game or a movie and buy into the illusion of what's happening. And so that's the key part about games is you got to keep the illusion up. Okay? Don't do something that breaks the illusion. Okay? To me, for a movie, the easiest thing for a movie to break an illusion is I worked as teaching at a prison for a while. So I know how a person's supposed to be shackled up when they transport him. And it's like all these movies there, oh, well, this guy's going to get loose. He's not shackled up right. You know, to me, that breaks the illusion. It wouldn't break it to you. Because I know how it's done. We had, even though I was just a teacher, we had to go through training that we had to shackle our fellow employees up legally in case there was an emergency, that we had to be called in and help and had to put handcuffs and the shackles on them. Okay? The inmates. And fortunately, never had to do that way, but, you know, we had to go through that training. It was legally required of us. So there was this particular thing for me that in these movies, my wife likes to watch, and I like them too, you know, these adventure, you know, cops against the bad guys, you know, oh, they put them on the bus. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, they're going to have an escape on the bus. They're not shackled. To me, that breaks the illusion for me. But I know most people it doesn't. But that's the kind of things that can break illusion. You build up a storyline in their head. And you keep that storyline going. Things that can break the illusion. You can break the story. Do something that doesn't make sense in the story. In a game, you can make the game too hard, or you can make it too easy. Oh, I just killed this great big huge guy, and it only took one blow. You know, he's a pansy. But that breaks the illusion. And part of the illusion in a game is you always want, unless you declare this is a game you can't beat, you always want them to feel like they can win. And they have to try it again, but always have to feel like, hey, I can win this. I just got to do it one more time. Oh, I didn't do this right. Okay. But that's part of the illusion of the game. If you don't give them the feeling that they can actually have a chance to win in some way or gain, there's like some of the mobile games are constant running games. So like you never win them, but you can always make it farther in points. So you are winning, you are matching and reaching a goal. So if the idea is keep that illusion, okay? Keep them involved in their mind, entertain them. That's number one. If your game doesn't do that, you fail. Anybody disagrees? But that's the key thing. Games, you can write it. What do you write your game in? Well, you can do it in BASIC. Okay, depending on the game.
Fourth.
CMOC. Okay, C-like compile. Assembly language. Mixture of all above. Or whatever else. Pascal. You know, depends what's your choice, whether it's going to fit. The other thing about games and design is you want to throw away the box. Why? Well, if you throw away the box and make your design first, okay, without worrying about the box, you let yourself freely think, okay, and get all the ideas out. And once you have your ideas concrete in your mind, okay, this would be cool. Okay, well, I have to fit this in a box now. Okay, what can I do? What can't I do? Example I used yesterday at the school that I talked to was Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country was a breakthrough game. Okay? A console that looked like 3D graphics. A console that couldn't do 3D graphics. Okay? It would never happen if somebody didn't think outside the box. The graphics were done and rendered in 3D, but they were pre-rendered, or as they like to call it, baked in, and then just played as a bitmap game. But since it was rendered as 3D, you had this look that nobody else had at the time. And you know, it was a big thing. Actually, it was probably about the last year they had a Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago, that are close. Actually made it to that show, and I got to see some of the workstations and stuff they developed this stuff on. It was really cool. But it was a big buzz at the CES in the game area. It was Donkey Kong Country because, hey, broke new ground. They thought outside the box, figured out what they wanted to do, and then figured out what they could put back into the box. Okay? So that took out that thought press limitation. They weren't always worrying, what can this box do? What can we do? Okay? Now after we decide what we can do, okay, how much of that we can fit in the box and how do we do it? So you have a lot of things going on in game design that if you go to list them out, be happening, you know? Even if you take a game that you're just doing a version of, a clone. Very popular thing, people like it, even way back in the day, you know. People wanted arcade games on your computer. Okay, be it your Coco or your Commodore 64. Oops, did I say a bad word? Atari, etc. Okay? But, you know, they liked to have the arcade game because they knew what that game was, you know, so then they know when they're buying it what they should be getting, or close to what they should be getting. And so, I've been doing puzzle games, and I still have one I need to finish up, and then I do have the Handy Andy, which is a Fix-It-Felix type game that I've done some significant work on that I've got to finish up. And they will both be using Game Master cartridge to do it. But the other thing I'm going to have to do with the Handy Andy, I've got to break that 16K ROM cartridge barrier. And there's some things you have to think about to redesign when you do that. In case of Handy Andy, what you see here, if I bring the sprites up that I've been working on, is they're very big. And so the best thing you're going to do to handle those sprites is actually put them in another bank of the ROM. Okay, switch them in and out of the need. Therefore, I need to build the routine that's going to handle that. And you hear times people talk about OS 9, and especially if you do Coco talk, you hear Nick Marantis. OS 9, I want OS 9, okay? Ease of use, etc., etc. I'm a game programmer. I don't need OS 9. And, well, the reason that's the case is because when you're doing a game program, you're basically writing your OS, or most of it, in that, because you're going to have something that keeps track of your time, okay? If you do any kind of multitasking within that, you're going to have your own time slicer in it, your own interrupt routines, okay? And some of those will need priority over what operating system might write. If you talk to Steve Bjork, okay, one of our esteemed legendary game developers who's actually here today, you'll find out that he actually had his own operating system that was built into his games as he developed it, and then parts of that was removed when it was put out to production, to the cartridge or whatever. And so you have to be able to handle all those things if you're doing a full big game. Now, not all games require that, but still, most cases in the game, you're going to have an event loop, okay? And event loops is used in Windows all the time, built into it, baked into the system, okay? But in your game, you're going to have to write an event loop. And that's going to control your timing of your game, when things are due, when you read input from the keyboard. How do you do that? Do you just do a simple timing, a breakout game, or a simple Pong game? You can throw away your interrupts. You don't need that. It's not that complicated. If you need to slow down time, you can use a sync command in assembly language. You'll wait for the interrupts. The system is already firing off. Do that so you don't get sparklies on the screen when you draw something. So those things that you can do in that based on how complicated your game are. The more sophisticated your game and more you do, more complicated is your internal operating system that you're going to have to write because you have a lot of things to do. Anybody in here? I know John writes games. Alice is writing games. Okay, sometimes okay. Cool. Okay. What are you writing today? Assembly. Good. Okay. And assembly is a choice, okay, that a lot of games programmers do on the Coco and the 8-bit machines because interpreted level language was too slow to do that. Okay? Write a Tetris game today on a new Windows PC is like cheating. You use a high-level language, get it together, and do it. Have it done. Maybe in a day, maybe less, depending on what time you want to do, tweak it at the graphics. Okay? Doing an assembly back in the day, if you wanted to play good and write, it took quite a while for me to do Soviet block. Okay? And so those things you have to weigh, okay? How fast do I need the game? I've got a game that's on my game disk that's in BASIC. But all the game once it starts basically is switching colors. The Simon type game. So I just switch the colors. Okay, don't have to redraw it. BASIC's fast enough to do that. Okay? We have to do a little wait while it's drawing everything at the start of the screen. But that's once. So it works. So you pick the tools you need to make it work. Okay? What language should I write it in? What can I do it in? Okay? What tools do I need to make it? Okay? My early games, before I do cross-platform work, the Soviet block, gems, I use Color Max, okay, to do my graphics. They had a clipboard. That clipboard saved a file to your drive. I wrote a routine that decoded the clipboard data, put it in data statements, which I could use in my assembly language program to generate my graphics. The interesting thing now, we fast forward a bunch of years from that, and I'm talking the great Eric Graveluk, after he gets back into our community a few years ago, he had contacted me to purchase a CoCoFEST case, and so I was talking to him and said, hey, by the way, and I used your graphics program to do my game. I decoded the clip. He says, oh, really? Somebody used that. Well, that's why actually we put it in there. We were working on developing a game to it at the same time we were doing this. So that's why our clipboard was there, so we could grab the graphics off so we do it again. So it was like a cool moment for both of us. Okay, Eric is like, oh, somebody else used this, so we built it for that reason. And for me, oh, okay, I used it, and they'd actually provided it for that reason. So, you know, things happen. You know, sometimes people think on some things alike. So that was my tool of choice. You know, I had to access the tool. I could do lines. I could do whatever. Had the text. I could just flip that, whatever I want to use, convert it to data statements. But Tetris and gems are basically, oh, well, sometimes the hit routines to make sure you do all that right can be a little tricky in assembly language, but they're really fairly simple games as far as overall. Okay, it's simply getting it to work and not miss. You know, a quarter case can be a pain sometimes. That would be simple in a high-level language, but hey, it still was there. But and they were my learning bases, especially Soviet bloc. You know, and the process I went from that would be maybe typical somebody might start here. I played the game and knew my brother liked it, and I thought, well, yeah, I can write that. Hey, I'll do something special for him for his Christmas present. He's a gamer. I'll write him a Tetris game. So I did. And it played. It was all basic. This wasn't smooth or anything. So I said, okay, I'll throw through this in my language or two. And then I threw more. Then I threw more. Okay? And so I have it all playing pretty good and everything. And you know, I get to look at the graphics. It's basically flat-looking graphics. And, you know, Nintendo kind of shades that, so it looks kind of 3D. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, it looked great. Now my blocks look great, and the rest of it looks like crap. They're like not looking graphics, so I had to go back and redo all my graphics. But this is things that happen as you develop. Things that you can't predict. Because as you look at it, you see something, oh, this is cool. Okay, I need to go this way. You know, I didn't know, I couldn't see this in advance. But hey, it is the way it needs to be. And so you have those things. So you could build a great game, start out in basic. Throw a few of assembly language routines into it. Also, it's a great time to do Coco games now. Why? Well, our internet connections are full up. We've got Facebook. We've got the mailing list. Okay, there's Discord, Skype. We've got our Coco crew and our Coco talk. You know, you have all these sources that you can reach out to and see, well, who's doing what, and say, hey, if I got this problem, well, this guy's doing something similar. Maybe I contact him. Okay? Back in the day when I was doing Soviet bloc and gems, okay, CompuServe, well, let's see, what was that, $12 an hour, maybe more? Or Delphi? Okay. How long can I afford to talk and look? Okay. The guys you see that was really active, you found out either they hacked their way in, or they were a sysop and they were getting free time. Okay. I've heard both of that happen in this community. Okay. And you know, so how do you find at $12 an hour, okay, or 18, the information you want? Well, either you're lucky or you don't. You have to teach yourself. Today, you get all kinds of examples. There's samples out there about stack blasting, all kinds of stuff. There's tools out there. You know, Simon's got, if you're doing in the semi-graphics mode, a tool that you can go on the web, generate your screen, dump the data out. Okay? And several sprite editors, you know, people have had out there, or at least partly made ones. Okay? I have one, you know, if you talk nice enough to me and let me walk you through it, I'll probably give you a copy, you know. but I want to walk you through it because I'm not going to take time to write documentation. Okay? If I'm writing documentation, I'm not playing with this. Okay? Would gladly walk you through it, teach you how to use it. Yeah. You expecting written documentation? Sorry! It's not going to happen. So, those are some of the things that you involve and do. My tool is based on the idea of a tile map, and actually learned some of my beginning information from this from seminars from Bjork at Rainbow Fest. Okay, knew that things could be done certain ways. Learned that there was something called a stack blast that would work really fast, and did that. My routine that draws this stuff in the game, it actually uses a stack blast to put the stuff to the screen in the background. And it's a tile map. And as we see, we have different maps here for different things that I want to be able to break up separately and draw. We look over here, we have the tiles. A couple different ways to look at the tiles. Even through a tool in here that shows me which tiles are used, how often they're used, what screens. So when I start running, getting low on the tile count that it supports, I can see what ones are being used, or if in the process of development I've drawn one that I'm not using anymore, so I can get rid of it to save money or memory. Here's a little important report that I wrote. Put it in there. It's my color usage. Okay, I only got 16 colors on the, in the plate at a time. What am I using and what? Okay, so my title screen, maybe I need something else. Which colors can I change? What can I change or move around? So I just built in a report for myself. I haven't had to save to spreadsheet yet, but that's very simple. I've got a spreadsheet component that I wrote that I use for work. It can look at this grid and output the data. Doesn't handle the graphics yet, but sometime it will. Okay. But so I can look at how I use my data, what color slot it's in, how many times it's used, and things like that. Oh, well, this is only used this. Okay, this is a possibility, I need another color. These things are not turned out. Okay, maybe I can change that one to another color and free up another color slot. And so that's the reason this was put in. It's a recent addition to my tool. Okay, and it was put in specifically because of Handy Andy is running out. Needed to know what colors I was using where, to see what I could do to stretch the way I was using the colors in my graphics. A few color tools. Sprite Builder, I would need to load the other in. Tile set. Under development. Okay, something like the cross hatches in there is a spatial designating that I have a transparent area defined in there. And sprite builder. 16. And I can type that in instead of And on the laptop, this is rather slow, especially if I put it on a projector. Okay. On my workstation I use at home, it's not nearly as blinky as this. So you can see that I can use it to preview the sprite moving. So I can see what changes I need to do it. Again, here on this laptop, it doesn't handle this very well. We can stop that. I can set how many bytes per line. I can click it and actually have it generate code. Save that. Use that code within the game program.
Is that saved as a bitmap?
It saves a data statement.
But pixel by pixel?
Yeah.
So like FCB kind of things, like the assembly version. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, if I need it compressed, I can write a compressed routine, add it to it. It's my tool.
Go back one screen. So bytes per line, 160 bytes. I mean, the resolution of a 640, it's only bytes.
A 320 screen is 160 bytes. A 640 screen is 160 bytes.
Okay.
Because it's 4 pixels per byte. Okay? The 256 bytes is where you do the over thing where you do a horizontal score in hardware. And 128 bytes is when you want to do like a 256 wide screen. Say you need to save some memory, but you still want the color resolution. And some games don't require all that width in it, okay? So since you don't need all that width, you can lower that horizontal resolution and save a bunch of memory. Okay? And so less memory you got to move around, faster those routines can work.
So how did you define the size of the actual sprite? And how many bytes wide would that be?
Yeah. In this routine, actually, it goes through and it figures what's blank space and where to start it and things. And usually when I generate that, I move these up to the top corner. Okay, here is just where it's been drawing, and I haven't moved that to the top corner to generate that, but I move it to the top corner. And so it will then define for each sprite, figure that area out, and just dump that area. So I don't have to jump all this blank space here. The routine is smart enough, especially if I put it at that top corner. It knows the size that's actually used in that sprite area and just dumps that out the data statements.
And then it's up to you to, like if you're using 16 sprites and they're all just a little bit different size, you've got to just fill them out in your program. That,
Yeah. And I've got to do some more coding on that. Sprite part of the tool is more recent stuff. And, you know, hey, I have a life, I have a day job, I work in computers. You know, sometimes I don't want to look at this after, you know, I have a particular trying client or something like that. I'm ready to forget there's a computer through the day.
Yep.
But, you know, when I'm in the mood playing with it, you know, I keep making changes in it. It's built in a rad development environment called C++ Builder, because it's so much quicker to make the GUI changes and stuff in it when I just drag and drop new components and drag it into that. And if I wanted to build a custom component that I want to use in multiple programs, I can build a custom component, add it to the system, and it's just a drag and drop add in. And a component differs from an object only in the fact basically it has properties, and it can go in that can be set. That's actually part of that at design time. Okay, and so it makes it a fast development environment. Okay, the slow part is deciding what I want in it. You know, is okay. What do I need for this game? Okay, and so I'm doing something different. Well, I just did this 10 times. Oh, I got to do it 10 more times. Let's go change my tool. Let my tool do it for me. It's a hobby. I can afford to do it that way. Any questions?
So this is a Windows tool. Does it run under one?
You have to speak just a little bit louder.
Does it run under? It looks like this is running on Windows. Your editor. Does it run under one so I can use it like on my Mac?
No, it does not run on the Mac at this time. A year ago I purchased a Mac, and part of the reason I was thinking about doing that. However, part of the reason I was purchasing was for my day job. My day job said they'd pay for it. Okay, I'll let you pay for it. They'll give me money for something else. 2 months later, they said, well, we need this somewhere else. And so I had to ship out my Mac that I bought for both work and personal use to use because I had to support Mac users at work. It was shipped out to somebody else. And there went my plans of doing a Mac version of this, at least for the time. I did upgrade the version of this just recently, and of the development environment, and it supports Mac, iOS, Android. So there is a possibility at some point in time this might be running on some other platform. But currently I don't have a new Mac, so that is an issue. However, my boss at work keeps promising to send me one of our MacBooks, but I'm not holding my breath. And because I do support it, I'm free to add things to it because I need to know it inside and out to support some of our other tech people who don't know the stuff. Their skill area is supporting a business application, and they're not expected to know the ins and outs of the operating system or anything like that. And so, I'm allowed to play with it significantly, even if it's theirs. But I have to have, the boss is so busy that he keeps forgetting to ship it to me. In the plans at some point in time, if I don't get that, I'm probably purchasing another newer Mac because a newer version. I do have an older Mac, but the software really doesn't work with that version of Mac OS. Okay, so I really can't do that. And while I had the Mac, I did try the old version that I had of this tool with the connectors and stuff I needed to do it on Mac, and I wasn't able to get it to connect. But it is something to do. They have a multiple development environments within this IDE, and the one I wrote this in is called VCL, and they have another one that's called FireMonkey, and it's the multi-platform version. The other advantage of this is FireMonkey does use like DirectX within its components. And so some of the things that are very flashy and stuff here like this would then become much faster and smoother and more realistic. It's on my radar, no promises.
So you wrote this tool,
Yes.
C++,
Yeah.
C++ compiler.
C++ builder, yes. Okay. And so like I said, it took too long to write. I didn't know what I wanted to put in it. Kept getting changes.
That's really cool.
It's cool.
Do you have it available on GitHub or anything like that? Is it available on GitHub or anything like that?
No, you have to get with me. You're right. Okay. And, it may not be something you want to use because, it's written for the way I was doing things. At the time I was doing each part. For you might say, oh no, this doesn't work my data. I don't think that way. That just happened how I was thinking at that particular time. If I were to go back and rewrite this thing from scratch, there'd be tons of changes. Okay? Just because I've learned a lot since then. When I did a lot of the original stuff, I would do things a lot differently. But, I take the time, it's working. If it's not breaking and it's doing what I need it to do, it's going to stay that way. That's about all I have. Anybody questions? Anything like that? Very well. Okay.
So for each sprite, you let the user type in like a little name, and then that becomes the label in your FCB.
Yep.
So then you just use that in your assembly program to reference it, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sprite art is not finished developed, okay? Because I have some things I want to do with it, because I haven't really used it very much. Because the previous game really could be handled by the tile background mostly. And so I will be tweaking that, okay? And I may take it to Fire Monkey just because I would like to do it cross-platform for the challenge. It may not make sense time-wise, but
Code it in Java and then builds. No, no, it would be bad for something like this because speed, and it cross-platform built in. No, okay. Just an idea. Don't shoot the messenger.
Java has some issues that I don't care for. One is I simply despise Eclipse. There is other IDEs, okay? And I'm probably going to have to be doing some of that stuff for work. And I generally don't give out my source code, and it's so easy to decompile Java. Extremely. Hey, I know when the code's good or bad. I don't need somebody second guessing. Unless I need help. I'm just the way I am. Maybe I shouldn't be that way. I know. But hey, it is. And sometimes the way I've decided to do it, there's some things that I plan for in the future that may not be in there. That's why it's there. That's why it's written that way instead of some other way. Okay. The disadvantage, this is not an open source tool. The advantage is, though, they do offer their starter version for free. Okay? And the starter is not cross-platform, and you don't get source code to their components. There's some other limitations. Commercial limitations, if you make over $1,000 selling with it, you're supposed to buy the professional. Okay, selling off of it. So they have some restrictions on the starter edition, but you can get the starter edition for free. So, and it's fairly good, okay? I mean, they've got some problems with it, and they keep fixing it. That's why I updated, spent a bunch of money to buy the newest version, is to get rid of some of the issues that they needed fixed in it. But if you're working in Windows and you want to throw a GUI together quick and you're used to C, it's a good tool for it. But basically, C++ Builder is going to be Visual Basic or C#, but actually listing C++. In fact, the guy who designed Delphi, which is the other tool that this company makes, and who libraries that C++ Builder uses, is the same guy who architected.NET. And he did the Delphi before he did the .NET. So he left the company to get that, went to Microsoft and .NET. So there's some similarities in the way things are done there. Of course, libraries are majorly different. Embarcadero is the name they're still on, yes.
They bought it from Borland.
They bought it from Borland. They're now owned by another company, but they still use an Embarcadero. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Steve's not starting right away, right? I need a minute.